Rebellion Saga. A prequel to the Fire Emblem ROM hack Rebellion Saga, this title is easily one of my favorite games, period. This 10-chapter hack is a passion project filled with engaging map design, endearing characters, and a gripping story with so much attention and care. This is a game made by fans that know Fire Emblem by heart, and I have nothing but admiration for this project. I've played Rebellion Saga twice already on this channel. My first run was more of a casual run to experience the game's story on hard mode. Meanwhile, my second run was an Ironman on its hardest difficulty, with the caveat of attempting it in one sitting. This choice would be a big mistake, as while the hack itself is short, each map is packed with content that could take a decent amount of time to beat. And as I built up more fatigue like an overused Thracia character, I eventually fumbled on Chapter 6, getting Gideon killed. Fast forward a year later, it's now time to Ironman this game again over the course of several streams. For the uninitiated, an Ironman is a self-imposed challenge of Fire Emblem, where, to put it simply, you cannot reset your maps, your decisions are permanent, if a character dies, they're gone forever, and any game over means that the challenge is failed. Basically, think of it like a Nuzlocke for a Fire Emblem game, or more simply how Shozukaga intended Fire Emblem to be experienced. Now, while I will be playing this hack on Lunatic, there are additional challenge modes that can be added to your runs. In the end, my chat and I decide to enable stronger bosses, unique foes, and true RNG. This combination of challenge modes will add enough flavor to the run for a difficult playthrough. Now, why might I do this, you may ask? Well, of course, to put my strategies to the test and entertain the beloved viewers. Speaking of, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy Fire Emblem content. Now then, let's see how we tackle this challenge mode Ironman of Rebellion Saga. Chapter 1. This map has us dealing with Boogie's gang of bandits causing havoc in a village. You know, typical prologue stuff in Fire Emblem. Our heroes start on the bottom left, with the goal to clear out as many enemies as possible while securing the villages. Eventually, we'll be joined by Calum and Ragnar in the northeast, Garant in the west, and Rosalina from one of the villages. While this is only the first chapter, challenge modes make this map a very tricky affair. With unique foes, this map adds in generic warriors all over the place. These axe bros hit incredibly hard, with only a select number of your units able to take a single hit from them. With that in mind, I try to secure the center of the map as fast as I can between Gideon and Calum's squads. However, I overextend with Ragnar the Axe Chad and accidentally get him killed. Knowing the map is still on its early turns, I decide to run it back and reset for a very impromptu Season 2. Hey, once a suspect mind, always a suspect mind, right? Season 2 goes much better. I end up taking my time through the map more slowly. Calum and Ragnar handle the top side of the map, while Gideon and company secure the bottom right village ASAP. Within this village contains a very valuable Ancestor Scroll. These items function just like Thracia's Crusader Scrolls, each adding unique buffs and debuffs to growth rates. Every run of Rebellion Saga reorders the list of what scrolls you get on each chapter, so you're not guaranteed to get the same scroll at the same location every time you do a new game. Now as for us, our first scroll ends up being the Steel Scroll. This buffs our unit strength growths, but unfortunately debuffs the very valuable speed growth. Hey, beggars can't be choosers in this game after all. Anyhow, this is the Davis G Ironman. Let's see how our resident Axe Bro performs this run. I ain't gonna complain about skill in a 1RN system. You already got him in AS. I made sure I got him. Got some boy. Give me Ragnar. Come on, Ragnar. Give me Ragnar. Yes. Give me Ragnar. Yes. Ragnar's back, baby. Yep, business as usual. The rest of the map goes relatively fine, even gifting us Bow Cav Rosalina for our roster. Rosalina is a very unique unit in this hack. She has a random chance to spawn as either a Lance Cav, Sword Cav, Axe Cav, or Bow Cav. In my opinion, Bow Cav is her strongest iteration. She comes with one of my favorite skills in all of Fire Emblem, Canto Plus, which allows her to reposition after she attacks. She also has a unique skill called Gambit. This skill adds plus 5 damage and 25% crit to her attacks. but caps her hit rate at 75% when used. This girl is basically a gambler's dream. With this moveset, she'll be a very valuable asset to the team for the rest of the run. Eventually, the boss of the map, Boogie, spawns from the tavern to charge us. On stronger bosses, Boogie comes equipped with a tomahawk, an accuracy ring, which increases his hit rates by 20%, certain blow, and sturdy stance. While Caleb's squad claims the rest of the villages, Gideon's squad baits Boogie near the bottom of the map, looping him until we secure all of the loot. With Boogie down, and another godly level on Ragnar, it's time to move on to Chapter 2. Chapter 2 takes place on a river map connected by a bridge. The boss of this map, Fred of House Speargarden, has taken a defensive position across the bridge. He is also guarding our caravaneer, Walter. The unique foes of this map consist of halberdiers and a wall of generals blocking the bridge's entrance backed up by snipers. As scary as this map might seem, there is a way to get around this blockade. Firstly, the gang has to cut through the fodder enemies until our new units arrive on scene. Along the way, I stop at a skill shop which has various breaker skills on sale. I end up buying the Axe Breaker skill, which will come into play later on. Eventually, our new carries of the run arrive to join the team. These units are Jacob the Myrmidon and Madeline the Pegasus Knight. On Lunatic Challenge modes, these two are exceptional units to deal with many portions of the game, as their skill sets lean toward countering magical enemies. In particular, Jacob's Barrier Sword is a blade that does effective damage to magic units, which only he and Madeline can wield. Keeping these two trained and alive is a top priority for this run. The next step of the map is to save the little girl across the river, guarded by Drago the Axe Cav. With the girl rescued, Madeline brings her home to the nearby village. This prompts an option to drop the bridge upon request of the villagers, killing any unit standing on the bridge tiles. And yes, this can include allies. But before we commit to that, we have a couple other objectives to complete. Step 1. We recruit Drago by speaking to him after the girl is brought home. Drago is a unique unit in that he actually needs to be paid in gold to be deployed on every sequential map he joins, and I ain't ever gonna complain about a free deployment slot for my army. Step 2. We do a series of secret events revolved around a droppable felling axe. This axe itself is pure garbage, but can be given to Jack the Woodsman to cut down a tree large enough to make a new path across the river. However, you can send Ragnar with this felling axe to drop it into the river near the start of the map. This prompts a secret event where a Lady of the Lake gives Ragnar a hero axe, which is a personal brave axe only he and Jack can wield. You heard that right. We can decide to give away this powerful weapon to Jack and have him cut down the tree with it. As silly as this might sound, this will give us a very strong boon later on in the run. And lastly, step 3. I send Gideon to the bridge, baiting Fred into charging our position. Or, well, I guess in this case, flirt with Fred? Now I can just canto onto here. There we go. Let's flirt with Fred. Hey, Frederick! It's me, Gideon. Just want to say how impressed I am. To lead a whole platoon like this? Can't believe how brilliant you are. Sorry for always mocking you. I was, just jealous of all your potential, you babaka.
Nadi! Gideon Rose! I'm utterly shocked. Haha! Never have I expected you would finally see my brilliance and hard work. I've grown as a combatant too. I will challenge you to an honorable duel. Here I come. Be a man and accept my request. It will be marvelous.
Man, that man, Onderon dating sim goes kind of weird, I ain't gonna lie, fellas. After such charming charisma, Fred flings himself at us by charging the bridge. But the trap is immediately sprung, with Madeline triggering the bridge trap. This sends Fred and the general straight down by the river, Baldur's Gate 3 style. While all of this does go according to plan, I unfortunately miss out on an Ancestor Scroll, which is stolen by a thief in the graveyard. The scroll we lost? The Windlance Scroll, which gives a massive buff to the holder's speed growth. This is a very unfortunate loss for the run. Though we do make up for this misstep by recruiting Aubrey the Thief, who has a very strong personal skill that reduces the avoid of adjacent male units by 40%. After cleaning up the rest of the enemies, we recruit Walter to end the map. Now we move on to Chapter 2X. These guidons act as your army's base camp functions, like in other mainline entries. You have the ability to access a secret shop from Walter, grow supports between your units, and give out free level ups. This chapter also gives us a choice in a new unit to recruit. Our choices are Reynard the Paladin, Celeste the Mage Knight, and Quentin. Out of all of these choices, I ultimately decide to enlist Reynard into my ranks. Reynard acts as the Jagan of this hack. His growths are okay across the board, but his bases and weapon ranks are what make him a competent unit to get us through the early parts of the game. His personal skill, War Commander, grants adjacent units bonus crit and crit immunity. With the abundance of units we'll get access to as the game goes on, Reynard is an overall safe choice to help out in the early to mid game of Rebellion Saga, and spoiler alert, he'll help out way more than that. But don't worry about the other two units, they'll come back much later. After selecting my supports and wasting money on the fishing minigame, I have to decide which version of Chapter 3 I play. Rebellion Saga has route split options for Chapters 3 and 9, each having their own unique map and recruitable units tied to them. For this run, I decide to go with Chapter 3A and 9B. With that in mind, let's move on to Chapter 3A. Chapter 3A has the gang fighting House Spearguarded's forces along a heavily fortified lake. The choke points are occupied by deadly enemies in the form of a ballista, a longbow sniper, generals, and most notably, battle sages. These sages boast very scary stats that can cause a lot of harm to my army, and you guessed right, these are the unique foes of the map. Thankfully, we have strong answers to delete these bookworms in the form of Jacob, Madeline, and Reynard. This map also gives us new units for our roster. The most notable include Dimitri the Armor Knight, Nathaniel the Dark Priest, Bird, and of course the best part of going to 3A, Captain Motherfucking Bill. Bill is a unique ship class that shows up to select maps throughout the game. With his ballista and battering ram, he is able to secure us stat boosters from nearby merchant ships. Also, just as a side note, I absolutely adore how massive Bill's ship sprite is during combat. Pirates are just awesome, dude. Though, sadly, he isn't awesome enough to save my ancestor scroll on this map, which is lost in the topmost village. Man, Lady Luck ain't smiling on me today with these scrolls. Speaking of luck, Nathaniel will also prove to be a very valuable unit in the coming chapters. His skill is unique in the fact that he makes any unit more susceptible to critical hits, including your own units. Risky as the skill might sound, it can be very handy with the right setup. This map also features two bosses meant to pincer you on two sides. Caroline spawns on the western flank with an army of cavalry, boasting hard-hitting weapons, while Moreau, the Duke Knight, charges us on the right side with a Brave Lance and Resolve. Thankfully, I had a plan to safely deal with both bosses. Moreau is a threat that has to go first, but I shouldn't do too much damage to him on retaliation, lest I risk putting him in resolve range. So I opt to have Bert be our first death of the run by sacrificing him to Moreau. Sorry Bert, but know that your death made this run survive. While dealing with Moreau, I have Nathan and Calum use the newly acquired Shinebind staff to block Caroline's advance from the west. The Shinebind allows the caster to place a light rune on an unoccupied tile for a single turn. Light runes are incredibly underutilized in the Fire Emblem series, and a staff like this can make for very clever strategies in an Ironman setting. Trust me when I say this will not be the last time this staff will save the run. With Caroline neutralized, we then get to the other side of the lake, moving on to the next chapter. Chapter 4, Nightfall. This chapter has the squad teaming up with the Steel Knights in eliminating the Duststalker generals hiding in the forests. Duststalkers are basically stealthy snipers, but have access to point blank and master bows. If that wasn't scary enough, the unique foes of this map are the pesky maids with Enfeeble staves. Enfeeble shaves off your defense stat by 10 if they hit any of your units, which allows the Duststalkers to one-round most units in my army. During my preps, I take a moment to assess who I want to give out my first Master Seal to. This chapter will require moving quickly and clearing out the enemies fast if I want to reap all of its rewards. But the bosses will be rather difficult to tank and hit. So, with suggestions from my chat, I decide to promote Dimitri the Armor Knight into a Duke Knight. Now I'm sure a lot of you just tilted your head at that idea, but hear me out. Dimitri's skill gives a bonus +2 damage and 15% hit on adjacent units, and he himself is one of the few units in my army that can consistently enemy phase. Even if I use this guy for just a single chapter, this promotion will be very helpful for getting me through the next challenge. Lo and behold, right as the chapter begins, Dimitri proves to be a valuable asset by nuking enemies and granting hit rates against the Duststalkers. 15% hit may not sound like a lot, but in the context of having one RN mode, this hit rate buff is a godsend. While the Surge of Confidence is nice to have, the timer of this map arrives on turn 2 in the form of Alistair. Alistair is a true blade that can one-round just about every green unit on the map. Once all the Steel Knights fall, he'll turn his attention towards us, and we will be forced to escape the map through a cave tile in the mountains. If that wasn't bad enough, Alistair gains access to celerity on stronger bosses. With the clock ticking, I send my team of lower movement units to the right side and my fastest movement units to the south, while Rosalina and the newly recruited Astrid hold the center. Each boss has a very good droppable, and when all are felled, it spawns in their commander, Cicero, who drops an Ancestor Scroll. With time just barely on my side, it all looks bleak as Alistair turns his attention to the very last Steel Knight, Striker. But as it all seems over, this happens. That's bad. That's enfeeble on Dimitri. That really sucks. What are you? Oh, Striker! Will we survive? No way he's alive. He's gonna die, though. He's alive! Ah! 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 Striker's alive! What? What? By a stroke of sheer luck, Striker manages to avoid getting crit by Alistair, surviving on minimal health. This single turn allows me to finish off the last Duststalker, triggering Cicero to spawn in. I make a mad dash back to the start of the map. All the while, Alistair makes his way towards us at an alarming speed. This was coming down to the wire. Knowing that Cicero was going to be a close call to take down, I decide to sacrifice Astrid to do chip damage to him. It's an unfortunate end for her, but this is how things go during Ironman runs. With that chip damage dealt, Dimitri then baits Cicero into his range, which sets up the kill for Reynard, who just refuses to fall off in this run for some reason. Unfortunately, while Cicero falls, I soon realize that Ragnar can't be rescued by any of my mounted units. In this moment, I decide to have Ragnar enemy phase in a forest while the rest of my units run to the escape point. Ragnar! Hold the line, Ragnar! Okay. Ragnar takes that crit. He doesn't care. Give me Ragnar! I need to get Ragnar out of here! Oh my god! He's too good to give up! We need Ragnar! Oh my god! Oh my god! We need Ragnar for the golem, dude. I can't do this without him. Despite the odds of deadly sword units and killer weapons, Ragnar defies the odds and survives with an absolutely cracked level up to boot. With a performance like that, how do you expect me to leave my man behind? Thankfully, Wolte is able to rescue Ragnar to safety, while we shine behind the western choke point. Unfortunately, I do have to make a tough call to delay Alistair by sacrificing one of my units to him, or else he'll have free reign to slaughter all of my units. I ultimately decide to send out Alanora the Mage to buy us time. She hasn't necessarily been a bad unit, but compared to the rest of the army, she just hasn't been leveling as much as them. So, I decide to have her take one for the team and take on Alistair. She truly was a Davisian knight after all. With Ali's sacrifice, we managed to escape the map by the skin of our teeth. Hey, Past Davis, how you feeling about that map? Get out. My brain. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah. Yeah, let's go, bro. Well, good job, bud. Alright, let's move on to the next stream, with Chapter 5. This chapter is structured like that of a D&D dungeon. Your army walks through a fog of war map with encounters triggering in designated areas. This chapter is meant to give your units free XP before the big boss of this map happens. To that end, I decided to dump the XP into Ragnar, Jacob, and Nathaniel. The unique foes on this map are just Dark Sages and Bishops. Honestly, they're not all that scary compared to the others we've had to deal with in previous chapters. This map also gives us some goodies in the form of effective weaponry, free tomes, a free skill off the bookshelf, and an Ancestor Scroll. Let's see what we get. Pray for Nighttide or Dark Curse. Nighttide would be exceptional. Nighttide would be exceptional if we can get Nighttide. Let's see what you get, Madeline. Ask and you shall receive. Okay. Nighttide. Hey, Reynard. Hey, Reynard. Do you want to have it? Okay. Sure. Sure. Nathan's not going to be able to use this, but great. 3-range Dark Tome. Yeah, sure. Rose Scroll would be really nice. I'm hoping for the Rose Scroll. The Rose Scroll, too. All right, Jacob. Give me something good, buddy. Sure. Plus speed, defense, I'll take it. That's a good scroll. Overall, not a bad plunder. As I wrap up the final encounter of the dungeon, I decide to promote Ragnar into a Berserker, Jacob into a Trickster, and Nathaniel into a Dark Bishop. Each of these classes will serve pivotal roles in the upcoming boss fight, which in my opinion is one of the most uniquely designed bosses in a Fire Emblem ROM. As we enter the final room, we encounter the boss of the chapter, the Mighty Golem. This bad boy has the gimmick of having armor plating in its inventory that gives it bonus defenses per plate. And on stronger bosses, the Golem has a whopping 4 plates. Every combat you initiate against the Golem reduces its armor by 1 durability. The Golem's skills also include Wary Fighter, Savage Blow, and Resilience, which reduces critical hits to ×2 damage instead of 3. Thankfully, the Golem goes into a passive state every other turn, allowing us free reign to wail on its armor. It even drops its sword to provide a free effective weapon if we're that desperate for it. That's right, the Golem is counted as an armored unit, so any armor-slaying weapons is a must-bring for this battle. With all that said though, this was going to be a very long boss fight. Right before the Golem activates, I am able to do significant damage to its plating by shooting it with longbows and a javelin with Madeline. Once it does activate, my plan is simple. Ideally, I want to keep the Golem in its starting position, as having it move around the arena will prove disastrous. This is due to the reinforcing enemies with Seal Defense, Silence, and Poisonous Gas Clouds. So I have a combination of Galahad, Ragnar, and Reynard surround the Golem while Nathaniel casts Shinebind on the tile behind the boss. This effectively traps the Golem in place for the entire fight. This will also give free reign for my Longbow users to take shots at the Golem without having to fear retaliation, as the Golem's sword is 1-2 range. While this crew handles the armor, the rest of the gang handles the reinforcements to keep them off of our tanks. If any of our tanks get hit with Seal Defense, this strategy will crumble immediately. Even Drago proves his merit this map, as he's able to get free chip damage on the Golem's armor and holds off reinforcements at base level. Way to go, bro. Between the active and inactive Golem phases, I position Nathaniel with his personal skill to give our tanks a much needed boost to their crit rates. He can also deal effective damage to the Golem thanks to his access to the Thani Tome. This proves to be our saving grace, as over time, Ragnar and Reynard land pivotal critical hits at the very end of the fight, saving us a few casualties. A deathless Golem fight is more than enough to surge my confidence in tackling the rest of this challenge. Before we move on to Chapter 6, I have to do some base prep in Chapter 5X. This includes giving out free XP, supports, giving Gideon free stats and a Dire Thunder, and wasting even more money on fishing. But remember guys, 99% of gamblers quit before they strike big. Anyhow, let's move on to the main event of Chapter 6. This chapter has us battling House Rain on their home turf. Their castle is fortified with pesky bow units, effective ballistas, and a time limit of 12 turns to eliminate said ballistas. This map's unique foes are adventurers, strapped with fancy cowboy hats and sleep staves. And yes, these guys do overlap. One of my playthroughs here saw that daunting as this start might seem, there is another gimmick of this map in the form of Randall's commands. Every turn, the newly recruited Randall issues a command that restricts certain actions the player can perform. These include not being able to rescue units, being unable to trade, and even restricting the use of staves. You guys really had to add in a Greyfield reference, huh? As bad as the Randall commands sound, they don't prove to slow us down too badly. On top of having Randall, this map also gives us access to Robert the Chad, a paladin that hits hard with Triangle Adept and a great longbow. This longbow deals heavy effective damage to bow units. My guy is just winning in the unit feel category. We also get Penelope, Gideon's wife. She is a troubadour with a slow staff. This staff can reduce an enemy speed stat by 10, a godsend for a run like this. With the use of Robert's great longbow, we clear the bridge with ease. This map also gives us an absurd amount of recruitables as the turns progress. From the north, Ellen the Armored Dancer spawns with Olga the Warrior and Best Girl Henriette. From the east, the Dervish Warrior Kestra can be recruited by Randall if he survives a round of combat against her. And to the north, the village contains a recruitable hero, and hey, haven't we seen this guy before? This unit is the result of giving the Lumberjack the Hero Axe in Chapter 2, a free hero that serves as a competent combat unit. Welcome to the team, Jack. This possibly could get any bit— oh my god, is that Captain Bill? And he has a pachyderm? Man, this chapter is so peak. Once we're across the river, I intentionally leave the Aerospace Ballista alive until the last turn. This will allow me to secure the boss kill on the Rel, get all of the treasure, and set up my squads for Phase 2 of this chapter. When the ballistas are all down, the map objective changes to a defense mission, where we have to defend the bastardly Wester Windlance after he takes Castle Reen's Gate. The enemy spawns in 5 different directions. Spearguard Paladins to the northeast, Lightbrainers to the southeast, Windlance Pegasi in the mountains, Ring Rangers in the northwest, and Ashburn Great Knights in the southwest. We also get 2 new units, Moriana the Sage and Ada the Falcon Knight. Ada in particular will be pivotal throughout the rest of this run, with her incredible stats and personal wing spear. With how massive this battle has become, let's give a tactical overview, shall we? To the northeast, I send the newly recruited Jack to hold off the Spear Gardens. His base stats and ability to stand on thicket tiles will allow him to handle himself quite well. For the Lightbrainers, I have a combo of Olga and Kestra on pachyderms, supported by Ada, Henriette, Reynard, and Calum to stop their advance. Ellen will also provide much-needed dance support for our ballisticians. For the Northern Pegasi, Robert handily solos them with his blessed levels and raw durability. And despite his horrendous tactics, Randall's actually quite capable at leading Gideon and Rosa to handle their wave in the west. And as for the Ashburns, they have to get past pachyderm broadsides from Captain Bill and peak performance Ragnar. As a berserker, Ragnar can stand on a peak tile, which gives him a massive boost to his avoid. On top of that, I also give him the Axebreaker scroll from Chapter 2 to help with his dodge rates. His survival rate against the final Ashburn boss, however, isn't guaranteed, but he will power level through the rest of the scrubs that dare to fight him. And so, the onslaught begins. Each side holds with considerable resolve, and every single unit plays their part in this epic battle. God, I love this hack so much. Calum even received the Gale Shot regalia from his brother Kurt. The Gale Shot, just like it sounds, grants the wielder the Gale Force ability when equipped. In a chapter like this regalia is going to absolutely carry. Over time, mini-bosses like Magnus, Joffrey, and Liam will take to the field to run us down. Sadly, Magnus and Joffrey don't even get the pleasure to fight Ragnar. Captain Bill simply stops these bozos in their tracks with his pachyderm. And as for Liam, well, he does have a droppable master bow. That'll be really handy for Rosalie. Wait, Wester, what are you doing? Lyrion's probably here. Oh, wow, Wester. Oh, wait, no, you're gonna steal my master bow. Wester, the one time you kill a useful... Ah! The one time you kill a useful enemy, it's the one with the droppable. Fuck you, Wester.
Fuck you, bro. God damn it, Wester.
Anyways, as the final waves spawn in, the main bosses make their appearance. These include Lyrion Lightbringer, a ranger sporting Nullify and Gale Force. Lyrion is a very evasive foe. Hitting him will not be easy. On top of that, Lord Gustav Ashburn shows himself, sporting not only Gale Force, but also Colossus. Now to be clear, Colossus in this hack is not the poopy Path of Radiance version. It instead multiplies the strength stat of the wielder by a considerable amount. If it procs, Ragnar dies. While Ragnar, Madeline, and Bill are able to clear out the Ashburn grunts, Gustav has a clear shot to run down Wester. A game over is very much on the line. So, I decide to make a gamble. I put Ragnar in range of Gustav on a fort. And then this happens. The hero, Jack the Goat. This is why I always send away the hero axe. You just get this guy for free. That tomahawk did its job. Here we go. He lives! Yes! 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 He can go! Ragnar! Oh my god! Ragnar! Give me Ragnar! Yes! Oh my god, Ragnar! Let's fucking go! Oh my god! Oh my god! Ragnar the Red, baby! Holy shit! Oh my god! Once again, proving that Icebreaker honor never falters, Ragnar solos Gustav, claiming the Ash Cleaver as a trophy. Meanwhile, Lyrion gets trapped in a corner between my support units, allowing the rest of my crew to finish him off with ease. With the enemy routed, Chapter 6 is at long last completed, without a single death to our name. While this map was tough, the next gauntlet of chapters were going to truly test my abilities. Chapter 7, The Shrine of Secrets. This chapter has us defend the young Mortimer Steel from Duststalker assassins. There are also shrines scattered throughout the map, each with its own special effect should Mortimer end his turn on top of them. The effects for these shrines have varying effects when activated. For instance, the one next to Mortimer at the start grants a torch effect for increasing Fog of War vision. The one in the middle can summon a temporary ally in Zacharias the Monk. And the Eastern Shrine summons destructible aura walls akin to Ashera's barriers from Radiant Dawn. Of course, this is just a taste of what all of these shrines can do. If we activate enough of them on our end, we can activate the final shrine in the middle, which insta-kills every single enemy on the map, Thanos Snap style. As a result, rescue staff users and Ellen are a must-bring if we want to be efficient. This map also gives us 2 brand new units right at the beginning. These include Maria, Mortimer's mother, who has access to the Hellfire Regalia and the ability to summon phantoms of herself. There is also Penny, the rogue, who has the ability to grant +10 skill to nearby allies on activation. This girl will be very important for next chapter, but for now, we have to focus on dealing with scary magical units and stopping the Dark Priests from activating the shrines to be used against us. The unique foes of this map are the Dread Fighters, enemies capable of dishing out insane magical and physical damage. Tanking is going to be very inconsistent on this map. As the chapter progresses, we also recruit Valeria the Bishop. While she is a nice replacement unit, she more importantly gives us a bonus rescue staff. And man, do I use this staff a lot in this chapter. Arguably a bit too much. As the map nears its conclusion, I move in Robert to clear out enemies guarding one of the last shrines. Unfortunately, I fail to notice Cicero the Assassin emerging from the fog. Do we know when Definitive Edition is going to come out? We don't have a set date for it, I don't think. Oh! I forgot about you.
I'll deal with these scum here. Everyone, find the boy.
Robert! He gets double, doesn't he? Robert! Fuck, I didn't even see Cicero. God damn it. Oh, I didn't even see Cicero. I didn't even see Cicero. Fuck. I didn't realize he was there. God damn it. In stronger bosses, Cicero has celerity, allowing him to swiftly put down Robert's steel at his exact range. This was a really tragic loss. Robert was shaping up to be one of my strongest units in the army. But let this be a reminder that Ironmans don't always guarantee your goats to survive. Thankfully, Cicero is quickly dispatched by Reynard, being the absolute Giga Chad that he always is. Seriously, how has this man not fallen off yet? This allows Mortimer to activate the last totem to open the Purge Shrine. Without missing a beat, I rescue Morty over to the middle, triggering him to end the map before I get overwhelmed. This chapter had an insane amount of close calls, and I had to burn a ludicrous amount of rescue staves to win. Regardless, a win is a win, and we move on to one of the hardest hurdles of the run. Chapter 8. Lights Fall. This chapter has Gideon and Maria squaring up against Rhaegar Targaryen, Aurelion Lightbringer. Aurelion plans to use the shrine's powers to delete Gideon and the rest of the rebels from history, empowering himself by becoming blue. With that introduction, it's time to slay Aurelion. On stronger bosses, he is one of the most difficult hurdles to overcome. He has the Dawncaller Blade, a magical 1-2 range sword that grants him a bonus to his already capped luck stat. He also gains Light's Blessing, a flat +10 to his strength, magic, and defense. And of course, he is always guaranteed to proc Luna, which ignores all defense, which in this case is a flat 49 damage at the start. Skills are not on your side this map either, as he has access to Nihil and Shrine's Ward. Shrine's Ward makes him immune to all damage at 3 range. Lombos, unfortunately, will not save us this battle. However, the most effective unit to handle Aurelion is none other than Madeline herself. With enough HP, she can barely tank Aurelion's attacks while dealing effective damage to him with the Barrier Sword. Keeping her alive this map is the top priority. With that in mind, I also make the decision to deploy Drago on this map. He might still be untrained, but hey, he's sack fodder if we need to make a hard call. As the map begins, we must fight our way through all manner of light spirits to reach Aurelion. Over time, Aurelion slowly charges himself up to get stronger. However, there are glyphs on the map that we can destroy to slow down his charging process. These must be prioritized at all costs. We also must fight through the unique foes of this map, the Amogus Towers. Once, these towers were our friends in Chapter 11, but here they are as our enemies. Think of them like the lane turrets from League of Legends, but have Purge and Wary Fighter. The first room goes fine without much issue. It's only until we reach the second room that problems start to arise. I horribly misposition my army, without realizing towers will spawn in the far sides of the room. This arena also spawns in a mini-boss, Hellfire. He is a broody boy that comes with Ignis and steals Maria's Hellfire tome for himself. This barbecue is about to get crazy. In this moment, I decide to make several gambles, focusing on taking down Hellfire first. Calum and Reynard set up considerable damage with their Lombos, allowing Jacob the chance to finish off this Arvis wannabe. Despite the risk of being one-shot, Jacob survives the fight and takes down Hellfire. Before our enemy phase begins, I send in Rosalina to take down one of the towers with Gambit, which thankfully pays off with a risky crit. To round off this phase, I position Drago to be sacrificed to the remaining enemies in order to prevent severe casualties. So let's see how that goes. Alright, let's see how this next turn goes. Let's see how it goes. This could be disastrous. It's probably going to be. That's fine. That's what we want, actually. This is fine. Yeah! Let's go! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god, Drago's alive! What? Drago lives away! Heal AI! Heal AI! Yes! Heal AI! Oh my god! Holy gambling pays off. Alright. The next arena proves to be easier than the previous one. My army is now properly split up to handle the threats of the map. It is in this arena, however, where I do end up sacrificing Drago to an enemy hero. This hero had the potential to one-shot Ellen with a critical hit, and frankly speaking, I didn't want to take that chance. In spite of this guy being nearly base level the entire run, he proved to be a sleeper hit whenever I used him. Thank you for your service, Drago. You'll never be forgotten. With the last rooms cleared and a rather uneventful mini-boss in the form of Raquel, it's time to slay Aurelion. Madeline has just enough HP to survive rounds of combat against him. All she needed was bonuses to her hit rates. I buff her up with Penny's ability, her support with Jacob, and reducing Aurelion's speed with Penelope's slow staff. With all these layups, and giving Madeline an angelic robe mid-map, she defeats the foolish Prince Aurora. Wait, sorry guys, I'm having trouble remembering why we fought this chapter to begin with. Something's wrong with my script. Anyhow, I'm sure it's nothing. Let's move on to Chapter 8X. While I take this time to give out bonus XP and supports, this chapter also presents a very important decision. Another route split. Lord Gareth Flameguard presents Gideon two options. Either he faces Lord Armand Speargarden in an open field akin to Clash from Path of Radiance, or face Lord Alexander's Fuckbox 9000, filled with all manner of tomfoolery and traps enough to set anyone to complete insanity. So naturally, I chose Alexander's map, the infamous Chapter 9B. Before sending out, we also get brand new units, the most noteworthy being Cyrus, a wary fighter general equipped with the Hellblazer Regalia. He joins our squad as a result of not promoting Helios before this Gaiden. While he will not be deployed for the next map, his time will truly shine in the endgame of this run. With all that said, let's move on to everyone's favorite map in Rebellion Saga. Chapter 9B, Victims of War. This map has us caught in the middle of an abandoned Duskmire. The town is set with all manner of traps and deadly enemies. Several commanders lie in wait to charge us down should we take too long until Moreau spawns in. Alexander has also rigged every single barrel tile to explode, and even uses children against us by having them throw sleep powder onto our units. What an absolute bastard. Thankfully, we could safely extract the kids off of the battlefield by talking to them with either Nathaniel or our newly acquired Darksage, Varg. Our goal is to hold out for as long as we can until the boss, Moreau, spawns on the map to run us down, just like in Chapter 3. First things first, I make effective use of Ada by having her eliminate the left side commanders with her wing spear. This girl really took notes from Sheeta in every Shadow Dragon run in existence, huh? While Ada is on assassin duty, I have my lock touch units disable the traps littered throughout the city, giving my army more wiggle room to move around. Funnily enough, Jack the hero helps them by accidentally avoiding a pitfall trap altogether, disabling it with his sheer luck. What an absolute unit. As the map goes on, the unique foes reveal themselves to us. Spy balloons. These balloons are flying units that have arcane bombs. These do massive magic damage to any unit they hit, on top of having Savage Blow. Man, I didn't realize Morshu was in this universe. Also, with very convenient timing, even more units join our squad. These include Beatrice the Mage Knight and the two other Rose Knights we didn't recruit back in Chapter 2X. With this group far away from the main squad, I have Beatrice rescue Celeste and have the two of them be warped away with a rescue staff. And as for Quentin, well, let's just say this is his trial by fire. Though, to my surprise, Quentin actually performs very well due to his skill, which gives him a void when no ally units are near him. He even manages to hold off a wave of balloons and paladins all on his own. Maybe you're not as best at the— Oh. Anyways, despite the loss of Quentin, we make up for his slot by the arrival of Dravenor. Dravenor is a Wyvern Lord who has incredible stats and soul as his personal skill. It's a no-brainer, I have to go out of my way to get this guy, even if it's just for two chap— What do you mean there's another unit? No, I didn't forget anybody. Who? Oh. Yeah, and, yeah, Muriel exists too. The gimmick of these two Wyvern Riders is that you have to kill one as a red unit to recruit the other. So, naturally, I send in Aubrey on a mission to assassinate the one thing preventing me from getting Dravenor. Bye-bye, Muriel. With Muriel gone, I focus on holding out in the center until Moreau spawns in the top right side of the map. While I could have gone out of my way to get items from the villages, each of them have a chance to be a trap instead of having a goodie inside of it. Frankly speaking, keeping my team alive for the final chapter is far more important for me. Moreau on this map is not only stronger in terms of stats, but he also now has Wrath on top of Resolve for his skills. This guy really thinks he's gonna live long enough to one-round Ashnard, huh? Anyways, Moreau is easily dealt with thanks to the Jack attack. With that, Chapter 9b is done and dealt with. At long last, it is time. And man, does the atmosphere of this map hit hard. Chapter 10, Light's Wrath. This map takes place during one of the most pivotal battles during Thorgrim's rebellion, the Siege of Holtmire. The rebels must hold out against the full might of the Lightbringer army while defending Lord Thorgrim. This map is massive, filled to the brim with terrifying bosses, a large deployment size of playable units, and has the sole objective of protecting Thorgrim until the very end. That's right, any unit can fall during this map, including Gideon. The only game over condition is Thorgrim himself. With how spread out this map is, I have a basic plan to defend each side of the city. In the northwest, Jack and Dravenor will prevent the Lightbringers from reaching the docks. To the west, Cyrus the Wall stands alone with his Hellblazer regalia, ready to tank the onslaught. To the southwest, Calum will man a ballista, while Ragnar and Ada cover him. Calum's Gale Shot will allow him to still proc Gale Force whenever he kills an enemy on a ballista. It's actually quite handy. To the southeast, Reynard, Jacob, and Madeline will defend this point to make their Lord and Savior Doga proud. To the east, a freshly promoted Galahad stands beside Henriette and Rosalina to stave off the intruders. All the while, Gideon and our healers stand ready to assist wherever needed. And so it begins. The beginning of the map starts out fine, each side holding out to great effect. Cyrus, most notably, solos the entire western flank by melting every single Lightbringer that dares to face him with crit after crit after crit. Man, am I glad to have this guy over Helios right now. While dealing with the initial waves, unfortunately, I do end up losing Galahad to a Thoron crit right at the start of the map. Hey man, with all that armor, promotion, and epic speech about being the wall to his troops, I thought he could tank it, okay? Oh, and speaking of walls, I also make a note to target the battering rams charging the gates. These units deal significant damage to our walls, causing them to break down and destroy even more terrain inside the city. Though much like an overconfident Theoden in Helm's Deep, we question if this is all Caithus Lightbringer can conjure. But little did we know, he could conjure so much more than we could ever imagine. On turn 3, Caithus shows himself to us, and does the unthinkable. Aurelion, my son, forgive your father for not acting sooner. I'll make it right. This is for you.
O mighty Joseph, thou who saved Aurora from ruin! Thou who etches the shape of the world we live in! Grant me thy blessings! Bestow me thy energy! Bring upon these men your divine judgment! We shall show you the true power of the Lightbringer dynasty. See it, hear it, speak of it. We cast upon you the unstoppable divine might of Joseph's wrath. I am the scales of divine justice.
Avatar stay talking. That's the idea. That's kind of what I was going for. Help Davis gets the 1 in 1,000 Caithus quote. If you want Galahad to always have a scroll on him, his luck is ass. Yeah, that was my fault then, X. I should have given him a scroll. Light, it's so bright. What's happening to me? I have to warn everyone. I have to protect them. Brother? Speak to me, Lionel. This isn't funny. Brother! Lionel, how dare you lay your hands on my boy? I'll eviscerate you limb from limb, Cathus! With that horrifying incantation, the map turns into absolute chaos. Cathus on Chapter 10 has the ability to one-shot any unit on the map through the use of Joseph's Wrath. There is no escaping or dodging this tome, as its range covers the entire map. Death only awaits you. And on stronger bosses, Cathus gets Gale Force. Let the slaughter commence. Now, that aside, there are ways to work around Cathus's delete button. There is a list of units in the code that Cathus will never target with Joseph's Wrath. This list consists of units that canonically survive these events for story reasons. However, if you deploy units that are marked for death, you can manipulate the deployment order to intentionally have Cathus eliminate lower priority units over others. It's incredibly morbid, but it can save your run to consider the delete order Cathus goes for. And don't worry if you run out of units for Cathus to target. He will eventually target the green Steel Knights scattered throughout the city. This map is meant to instill you with fear, dread, and uncertainty. You just have to persevere through it all. Eventually, Thorgrim will become playable after Cathus enters God Mode. Thorgrim himself is a competent combat unit, boasting Great Shield, the Bulwark Regalia, and a Master Axe. But keep in mind, as strong as he might be, he is the game over condition of the map. This becomes more apparent when Thorgrim gets marked with the Provoke ability, which means any and all units that can attack Thorgrim will go for him. As the turns pass, dread begins to set in, and one by one, my units fall to the Lightbringers. This was a fight we simply could not win. Rosalina. She had a knight's tale of grand proportions from this rebellion. With her trusty horse Gambit by her side, Rosa thought she could win it all. But her last Gambit would reside here in the ruins of Holtmire, leaving only a pile of ashes where she stood. Ragnar the Red fought valiantly in the southwest, running the streets red with Lightbringer blood. But eventually, the cowardly archers felled him with a tremendous volley. He had bested golems, regalia users, and elite soldiers. He would have a grand saga to speak of in Valhalla. Commander Reynard, second in command to Lord Samuel Rose. He expertly led the defense of the eastern walls. His tactics proved effective, eliminating that flank entirely. But Cathus knew that morale would falter should the enemy commanders be silenced. Thus, with Reynard's death, so too did the eastern walls crumble. Calum Rain, the swiftest ranger in all of Onderon. He was here to do some business with the gale shot on his hip, and by God, did he leave his mark. But Cathus knew this swiftness had to be quelled, and as such, Calum barely drew leather before the divine light incinerated him. Dravenor. While he was not in Gideon's army for long, his impact could not be denied. Much like Madeline, he dominated the skies with his fearsome wyvern. A master of aerial combat would prove a threat to the Lightbringer fleet. All that remained of Dravenor was nothing but ashes blowing in the wind towards the ocean. Jack. A simple woodcutter from Speargarden with the strength of a hero. This battle, this moment, proved more than anything that his actions had impact. He was destined for greatness, and greeted Cathus's light with a smile, knowing he drew the king's ire away from his allies. Ellen. A bulwark of fire and steel, many rallied to her banner in this desperate hour. Her fury was fueled by the loss of her sons. She led and fought with the wrath of a mother, and soon would join her sons in the great beyond, leaving behind her grieving husband and daughter. Nathaniel. A gentle soul afflicted with a curse that brings misfortune. He has saved many lives on this journey, but even then, his final thoughts are of regret and failure. He blames himself for this tragedy, that his curse brought this upon those he called comrades. Nathaniel barely keeps himself together to heal his allies, but ultimately goes to the light of Joseph's wrath willingly. Henriette, Ellen's right-hand lady. Her charm and presence inspired many to fight on in spite of the horrors laid before them. She blames herself for Ellen's death and fights on in her name. As the light turns to claim the fair maiden next, her last thoughts are of her dear little sister. All seemed to be lost. This run was truly over. Season 3 would about to begin. Wait a minute. Who is that in the distance? Is that Captain Motherfucking Bill? Never mind, boys. We are so back. Time to lock in. As my army crumbles around me, I decide to make a mad dash to the eastern side of the city with the scraps of units I have left. As long as I can hold out until the turn limit, this run can still be won. Before that can happen, ships spawn on the top side of the map with reinforcements. These boats come packing with heavy ballistas, which almost end up killing Thorgrim, and would have left him at 1 HP. Looking back at the footage, I realized that if Gideon had not been standing near Thorgrim with his passive that reduces damage to nearby allies, Thorgrim could have died with 2 ballista shots. With that brief heart attack, Madeline and Bill focus down the boats, while Thorgrim proves he ain't no punk bitch by soloing generals and a swordmaster on his own. Gods, he was strong then. As this is all unfolding, Cyrus is the last man standing in the western flank, and he holds off the entire Lightbringer army alone. He ends up baiting all of the commanders to his position, and survives until the very last turn of the map like the absolute tank that he is. I know people generally like to train Helios in Rebellion Saga, but man, did this run make me appreciate the mad lad that is Cyrus. Give this man a try on your next run if you haven't already. As the final turn comes to a close, only Gideon, Madeline, Jacob, Ada, Thorgrim, and Captain Bill survive the siege. With that, I had won my challenge mode Ironman of Rebellion Saga. Hey, Past Davis, how you feeling, buddy? And with that, my friends, is Rebellion Saga. Holy shit! I should not have lived. Oh my god! Hated that. Hated that. Nope. Nope, I'm never doing that again. Never doing that again. Do not ask me for all challenge modes. This was more than enough. My brain hurt. My brain hurt, bro. Oh, my brain hurt, bro. No. Nah, bro. You can't ask me to do that again. Great to hear, pal. So, yeah, that was my challenge mode Ironman of Rebellion Saga. This run was easily one of my most difficult playthroughs I have undertaken on this channel. This ROM pulls no punches when enabling challenge modes, and it required me to think meticulously on every single turn. Every single victory in this run gave me the best thrills I have ever felt across all of my playthroughs of Fire Emblem. Rebellion Saga and Onderon Saga reignited my love for Fire Emblem when they released, and I always think of them fondly when it comes to my favorite games. Not ROMs, mind you, games. The amount of time, dedication, and love poured into them is astronomical. So, from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you to the dev team for a series I have nothing but admiration for. I look forward to seeing what you guys have in store in the near future, and wish you all the best in your endeavors. And with that, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy videos like this, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Fire Emblem content. Let me know in the comments what you think of this run as a whole, and how you would tackle these challenge modes in the driver's seat. I also want to give a massive thank you to my patrons. Your guys' continued support allows me to make videos about a series I absolutely adore. I love making videos on this channel for such a wonderful audience, and I can't thank my fellow warriors and Axe Chads enough for their kindness. And with that, thank you all for watching. My name is Davis G. I'll see you all next time. Take care.